The Farms.com Wheat Report is brought to you by Altitude FX and BASF Canada.
Hi, I'm Rob Miller, a Technical Development Manager with BASF Canada. I'm at a BASF research plot and we're about 2 days away from wheat harvest. And you can see that the crop is nicely starting to dry down. But once the wheat started to turn a couple weeks ago, there was more light penetration deeper into canopy and we started to see more weed growth. This was oversprayed with a herbicide at the 4th tiller stage just prior to flag leaf, and you can start to see that there are multiple flushes of weeds starting to come with the ample amount of moisture that we've had this year. One thing you want to remember is after you harvest this in a couple days is that your season doesn't end at the combine. You want to set yourself up nicely for next season by using fall weed control. One way to do that is to use a product like Distinct to control perennial weeds. Weeds such as narrowleaf hawksbeard, dandelion, any of the south thistle species, as well as Canada thistle, as well as glyphosate-resistant kochia. Distinct contains 2 modes of action. The first one is dicamba, which is a group 4 oxinic herbicide, and the second is diflufenzacapir, which is a group 19, which is a auxin transport inhibitor. It effectively transports auxin throughout the plant, so you get faster, more effective control of perennial weed species. In the fall is the most effective time to control perennial weed species because it's taking all the energy from the leaves and transporting that into the roots so it can overwinter. So you get more effective translocation of herbicides when you apply them in the fall as compared to in the spring, where it's taking all the energy from the roots and transporting it up into the leaf for more vegetative growth, making it a lot more difficult to control perennial weeds. So if you do have a lot of perennial weeds such as south thistle, Canada thistle, dandelion, or kochia, you get more effective control when you apply it in the fall. In the fall, it is a lot cooler temperatures, so you might not get as fast activity as you would if you apply it in the spring, but trust me, you will definitely notice a difference between treated and untreated areas of your field when you use a fall emergence herbicide program. One thing to keep in mind is if you are applying it later in the season, you might run into potential issues with what can be grown the following year. So if you apply it before October 15th, there are no recrop issues when applying Distinct. You also want to take into consideration a tank mix with glyphosate to control some of the other weed species. According to the glyphosate label, if the weeds are over 15 centimeters in height, then you have to use higher rates of glyphosate. So take that into consideration. Add the Distinct with the surfactants as well as the glyphosate to get excellent activity of the perennial weed species and to set your crop up for the following season. So even though this was sprayed with a in-crop herbicide, we are starting to see some south thistle starting to emerge, some seedling dandelion, as well as some other perennial weed species. When we harvest this crop in a couple days, those weeds are going to flush, so you want to get out there and do a fall apply burn down to control these perennial weed species.
The Farms.com Wheat Report has been brought to you by Altitude FX and BASF Canada. Visit www.clearfield.ca/wheat for more cereal solutions.